Alright, response video to Pyro, who I really don't like. But anyway, Pyrrho.
Gary, admit it, you are entirely full of shit on this subject. First of all, quantum mechanics, if it was used in a brain, would not make things all worse. As we have discussed, possible uses...
No, I'm sorry. No, as we have not discussed. All we do is keep arguing past each other. Quantum mechanics. Okay, let's separate these two things, could we please? Let's separate quantum theory, okay, which is all the phantasmagorical crap, the presumptions, alright, and quantum mechanics, strictly speaking, the math, okay? Quantum mathematics. All right, I don't have any argument with quantum math. All it is fucking probability math. It's math that treats variables as ends, okay? Well, it's so hard to describe it, you know. But I think you understand what I'm saying. It is math that incorporates into it error correction, because variables are ambiguous at any one moment, but they aren't ambiguous in their conclusion. So anyway, next.
Quantum physics are for things such as to get efficient energy transfer. For example, plants can absorb something like 97% of the solar energy. That's the kind of thing that quantum mechanics would be used to exploit.
Oh, well, whatever. I mean, you know, whether somebody actually uses this math to come up with some sort of good, okay, to actually make something actually useful, I mean, actually productive, fine. I'm not against it. I think it's still more about the experiment and more about trial and error than it's going to be about math making it happen. But who knows? We'll see what the future brings. We'll see with nanotechnology and the rest of it whether somebody can ever take this math and actually create the actual physical product.
Be used to exploit randomness and make errors. What would be the evolutionary advantage of that? That is ridiculous.
Well, I'm sorry, Pyro. The only thing that's where we get back to this quantum theory crap. All right? I mean, the argument you're making is that there isn't some mechanical device that's creating, forcing, okay, an outcome. You're saying that the outcome is being produced, okay, by some other randomish force. Now, if you want to say that's not what you're saying, then fine, we don't have an argument. But randomness will do a brain no fucking good. It would do a computer no fucking good. All right? Control is what these things... They are completely dependent on things being a static state that they can take advantage of, not an unreliable state.
Two, there is a realization dawning within you that something being probabilistic doesn't mean it's spontaneously random. Oh, there's maybe 3 possibilities, but...
Yeah, well, maybe there's no possibilities. Each event had no other possibility than the event. The fact that we don't know what was causing the event is the issue here, all right? And whether we can speculate reasonably that the event was caused by some sort of spontaneous or random phenomenon, or whether it was caused by a controlled phenomenon, a cause, okay? That the effect is not an uncaused effect. You're the one implying something else. I'm not the one implying something else.
It is between these 3 possibilities equally possible that each happens, or if not equally, then proportionally.
Yeah, well, this is a key word, though, proportionally. And how does it know this proportionality? How does it know how to be proportional? Because there must be a fucking mechanism that forces that proportionality. That's built into the fucking mechanism. All right? We can't see it, but it's there. It isn't fucking random, or it wouldn't be proportional.
That is simply a fact of life. All right. Now, that doesn't mean there's free will, but it does mean that there's room for free will. You guys...
I'm sorry. You keep saying it doesn't mean, but there's room. There is no fucking room, okay? It creates nothing that would create anything useful to a will, okay? A will is not dependent on some quantum flipping something one way or the other. It would be entirely useless. The only thing that makes our will useful is the fact that it can weigh real things like real goods against real evils, do real equations, flipping on something. If you have something that's fundamentally a 50-50 choice, a pure 50-50 choice, well then obviously it's not a decision that has a component of any kind of certainty to it, or any kind of like it would be better if it fell one way or if it fell the other way. And so what good would that do? It wouldn't do our will any fucking good, because there's some force that makes a choice when there's a pure 50-50 decision. And we certainly wouldn't want something of the opposite to happen, where there's a clear 70-30 equation where we know what the right thing to do is and we know what the wrong thing to do is, and because of some quantum effect we end up doing the wrong thing. That wouldn't be of any use to our will, that we fucking do the wrong thing. Okay, because of an error, because quantum said no, we're going to tip you to the 30 instead of the 70. No, will is made out of reasoned and mechanical evaluations. It doesn't have anything, there's no useful quantum in there. There's no useful place for anything else to make the decision but the force of logic that's been built into our structure, and the force of our dynamic desires and everything else, which I don't defend, but that exist as an influence on our behavior.
Having this hang-up on thinking that you understand cause and effect. There is no way you can prove that cause is related one-to-one to effect.
Well, who the fuck ever said it was one-to-one? We live in a universe of about 10 gazillion atoms. So who the fuck's ever argued that it's it's some sort of just one thing hits one thing and then one thing happened? Of course it's 5 million things banging into this. There's 50 million cars in the accident. It doesn't mean that every car doesn't have its own cause and effect chain, and that the whole thing is an effect of all those chains merging.
And it could be many to one, it could be many to many, and in fact it looks like it's many to many. Many causes leading to single effects, one cause leading to many effects, many causes leading to many effects, and so on.
Yeah, well, so fucking what? Exactly. But still all cause and effect. It's not fucking magic unicorn makes something fucking goddamn happen. It just flies over Earth and says, boink. No, that doesn't fucking happen.
That's what it looks like. Now, will means something. It means something. There's a distinction. The kind of behavior that a living creature has to a situation, to an environment, is different than that of an unliving creature. Now, maybe
an unliving creature? Come on. What the fuck is an unliving creature? Yes, obviously, biological machines are different than other mechanical machines that we have been able to invent so far. But there's nothing saying that we won't in the future with technology be able to create machines that are even more what's the word to use? More animated than ourselves, even more complex in some other way than ourselves. But it's still a machine, okay? It's still a machine, it's still wiring, it's still electricity, it's still chemistry, it's still biological process, it's still physics, all right? It's still physics moving through us, all right? There's lots of bits to it, there's lots of components to it, there are lots of variables in it, but the fact that there's lots of variables does not mean it isn't incredibly simple in its functionality. I mean, the end result is a simple process. It is a biological machine put through a stress test of 4 billion years of competitive evolution, and this is the fucking product. This complex psychology motivated and induced into action by something we call now desire and consciousness and feelings and all this other crap, all these other manifestations of that construction. But it's a fucking machine. It's a construction.
Either one involves choice. But it appears to. And it definitely appears different.
What it appears to be is bullshit, okay? It doesn't fucking matter what anything fucking appears. We're talking about what we what the science dictates, what it's telling us, what every observed fucking goddamn scientific fact indicates. And that is that God does not play dice with the universe.
It's different enough to categorize in a different category and call that fucking category will. I'm sure of that. Okay. Now,
whatever. You can be sure of whatever you want. Will is just a word that human beings made up to describe what happens when their desire is well focused. But that's all it is. That's it. It's nothing. It's a meaningless fucking word. It just has to do with the impulse that's generated inside of this biological machine called human, all right? But it's the same will that compels any other animal to go, well, I'm going to go over there and chew on that bush, or gee, that chick is hot over there, I'm going to head over there, see if I can get me some. I mean, it's the same fucking thing. It's a motivating force within this organism, this biological creature